This is Armageddon TV.
What's up? This your main man, Mikey Juice, coming back one more time for your mind with Armageddon TV. On this episode, I want to talk about reality. So I have a clip from a physicist who used to work for CERN, and he almost hits it on the head until he gets to one point in the video where I had to cut it off, and I feel like I have to discuss it, okay? Check it out.
Your senses are decoding meaning, not measuring mass. And what we call physical reality is more like a shared hallucination. Consistent, yes, but built entirely inside experience. This is where everything flips. According to Kastrup, you're not a small creature moving through a big universe. You are the universe, just not all at once. His claim is psychiatry examined patients with dissociative identity disorder, showing that a single brain can host multiple centers of consciousness, each with distinct memories, beliefs, even handwriting, yet all contained within one person. Kastrup applies this concept globally. What looks like separation between you and a stranger, between humans and animals, is an illusion generated by dissociative boundaries. Pay close attention to what he has to say about it.
Appearances arise when there is a boundary between the observer and the observed. If they are not distinct, there are no appearances, because appearances are what something looks like from the outside. For there to be an outside, there has to be a division, a boundary between the inside and the outside. So the observer looks from the outside, and the observed exists in the inside, right? So how do appearances arise? When this boundary arises, when there can be one mind on one side of the boundary, or one segment of a mind on one side of the boundary, and another segment of a mind on the other side of the boundary. Now you have one observing the other from the outside being determined by that boundary. That boundary is a dissociative boundary.
We feel alone, not because we are, but because the universal mind has carved itself into localized identities, each temporarily unaware of the whole. You're not inside reality bumping into it, you're a fold within it, looping back on itself. And when that dissociation thins through meditation, trauma, psychedelics, or death, the illusion cracks. The ripple remembers the ocean, and the mask slips. If everything that exists is made of mind, and all forms are just modulations of one field of consciousness, then what do you call that field? Kastrup, without even flinching, calls it God.
That is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. And by the way, it's the only thing that exists. And it's you, and it's me, and it's the cat, and it's the amoeba, and it's the moons, and the black holes, and the stars, the whole shebang.
So divinity exists in your view?
Yeah.
How we may experience it differently, each of us, but it does exist in your view.
Of course, we are it.
But not the version handed down in Sunday school. Not the humanized overseer with moods, plans, and punishments.
Now, see, that's what I'm talking about right there. How convenient. How convenient that, you understand some aspects of the nature of reality, but the aspect that talks about accountability, that's the one you don't want to really address. That's the one that scientists don't want to address, period. They want to talk about the universe, the unaccountable universe where anything goes. But God, the real God, is holy. He's pure. He's righteous. Evil to this God is like a virus or bacteria, has to be cut out and removed and destroyed completely. And that's what sin is. Disobedience to God is like a virus or bacteria, in the spirit. It has to be removed. It has to be utterly destroyed. Just like you would if you found a tumor and you had to use radiation to get rid of it so that the body can be healthy and whole. And so the universe doesn't operate the way that these scientists want to believe, because if it did, then we would be a universe of total chaos and life wouldn't even exist as it is now. And so God is the only thing that's keeping us here. If the devil had his way, we'd all have been gone in the Garden of Eden. He would have had us dead right then and there. But God allowed us to go on so that the righteous ones could be born and could shine forth and bring glory to the kingdom. But the thing is, God is the mind of the universe. God is the original consciousness, the consciousness that never had a beginning or end. You know what I'm saying? We all are extensions of his consciousness. You're like a thought in the mind of God. The mind of God is the thing that holds all things together. We are like thoughts in the mind of God, all of us. And since God is holy, these thoughts went forth, and the devil has used his horrible and tragic plan to cause some of these thoughts or some of these lives to be lost. Okay. And they will not be able to go forth into the new kingdom. But once all of that wickedness is removed, we will shine forth in the new kingdom. There's going to be no such thing as evil anymore. No such thing as unrighteousness, no such thing as disobedience, because through the Spirit of Christ, we're all going to be in unity, holy, good, and perfect balance. Haven't you ever wondered why there's all of these planets, ain't no life on them? That's because that's not for this age. That's showing you the next age. This whole universe will probably be populated. There are probably multiple universes, multiple. It's gonna a kingdom that is gonna go on and on forever and ever. But God don't bless no mess. He is not gonna populate this universe with life because of evil. Imagine, like, in our wicked fantasies on in television and movies, there's space wars and Star Wars. Imagine a reality where the galaxy is at war and planets are being destroyed. It would be just a total disaster, just like this planet is starting to turn towards. So that's why I believe that God has not allowed the rest of the universe to be populated, because God don't make no mistakes. Those planets are not just sitting there for no reason. I believe that in the age to come, those planets probably will be populated with life, with life that is not evil, with life that has no idea what evil is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these are my beliefs. But I tell you what, if you look at what atoms are basically empty space. The volume of an atom is dominated by the space between its little, dense nucleus and the electrons that are orbiting far away from it. Christ is that nuclear glue that holds all things together. Everything is made of matter. Atoms are basically the building blocks of the universe. However, light, sound, and dreams are not made of matter. But when you look at matter on a subatomic scale, and when it becomes atoms and electrons and neutrons, all things are made of the same thing. Whether it's a hamburger, a stone on the ground, or a piece of metal, at the subatomic level, it's all made of the same stuff, atoms. Okay, so the world is amazing. Also, eyes don't actually see. Did you know that? I mean, some people think that eyes are like video cameras that actually are just telling you what you are seeing in the world, but that's not actually true. Eyes are organs that capture light and send signals to the brain. So the eye captures the light, converts it into electrical signals, send these signals via the optic nerve to the brain, which and the brain's visual cortex, and the signals are interpreted and turned into images that we perceive. So it's not a video camera. Your eyes are capturing light, focusing light, converting light to signals. Your brain receives the signals, interprets the signals, and adds context to tell you what it thinks you're looking at. You see what I'm saying? That's pretty wild. Here's another thing that physicists have discovered also. Reality doesn't exist until observed. And so it's from the concept in quantum mechanics called the observer effect, which suggests that at the quantum level, a particle's properties, like its position, are not defined or definite until a measurement is made. And they did an experiment called the double slit experiment. And what it showed was that a person's observation affects the outcome of a situation. So everything has to be observed in order to actually occur. Okay, so they will look at I'll give you an example of how that works. Before observation, a quantum particle can exist in a state of superposition, meaning that It's in all its possible states at once, like being in multiple locations simultaneously. But once you observe it, it collapses down to, either the left side or the right side, either up or down. But before you observe it, it's everywhere at once. Once you observe a particle, it behaves differently. So that tells you that something is going on here. And who is the greatest observer of all observers? The eyes of God. God observes everything. He's observing all of us. And if God was not observing us, we would not be here existing. We would just disappear. And if you don't believe that, you need to get right with the Lord. Let me tell you, you need to get right with the Lord, because that is the truth. God, in his observation, he is the ultimate observer of the universe. And so when you look at the participant observation theory, which is a theory in physics, it really explains what God is telling us all along. God has told us that he is watching everything. He sees everything. He holds all things together. But we want to just say the universe. The universe does not have a personality. God has a personality. And God created the universe. The universe, God is outside of the universe. The universe is within the creation of God. That's what you got to understand. He's larger than the universe. To try to say that it's a God of universe is taking away from the magnificence of what God truly is. He exists outside of the universe, outside of time and space. And so, it's a difficult concept to accept or to explain even. But the way I see it, like I said, we all live in the mind of God. Creating artificial intelligence and all this kind of stuff is like a fake imitation of God existing, consciousness existing, without the creation, without the need of creation. We exist in the consciousness, in the mind of God. We are all thoughts. Some of us good thoughts, some of us have been turned to bad thoughts, and those thoughts will be cut off. And that's pretty much the concept of what's going to happen in the end. All those bad thoughts are going to be burned in a lake of fire. All those bad souls that came forth from God but cannot return to God because God is pure. God is just holy light, righteousness. There's no evil in him. He can't accept evil. And so unless you are wrapped in the spirit of his son, who came to earth and did no evil, was totally pure and good. And so that's why he's the only way, because he has to basically cover you and say he's okay. He's okay to return. I'm going to cover him and protect him and make him a new creation so that he can be a part of the family of God, because evil cannot exist in the family of God. And that's what physicists are not catching on to. God is not just like a collection, an amalgamation or collection of all consciousness, and there's really no true good or evil, and anything goes. No, we are an extension of God's mind, each one of us, and God has told us who he is in the Holy Bible. So whether you want to accept that or not is up to you, but every man is going to have to accept it in the end. It's Mikey Jukes, Armageddon TV. Till next time.
This is Armageddon TV.